To prosperity and beyond. Oh, there was a picture of Karen there. I'm obviously not Reverend Karen, although I'm blonde and tall like her. But not to be confused. Reverend Karen is home. The practitioner retreat happened this last weekend. I didn't get to go because I was home taking care of Aria, who was very sick, and Jason, who was very sick, and now Karen's very sick. Treatment, please. Okay, we have been on this little round robin now for a while, our family, and we are over it. Like, seriously over it. So seriously asking for a treatment for health in that whole household and our household, so we stopped giving it to each other. Holy moly. It's been quite the week. Poor little girl, she was very, 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 very sick. Very sick. She had 3 different things all at the same time. Yes, she was miserable. So what did we do? We went to the doctor, and they knew what it was, and they knew what to do. Yeah, thank God. Oh my God. Phew. And so all of that was super helpful, and she got better. Because they knew what to do. They knew how to help her. Just like we know what to do with our spiritual work. We know how to help ourselves with our spiritual work, our spiritual mind treatment, right? And we know how to get to prosperity and beyond. We do actually know how to do it. We just have to do it. My son is the king of not taking medication. And then he's surprised that he's not better. It does not help for it to stay in the bottle. Somebody has told you, take these things in this way and you will be better, right? So I am doing Karen's talk on prosperity and beyond because I found out this morning I was speaking. And what we are going to talk about is the prosperity and beyond recipe. Just like when you go to the doctor and they give you a recipe for taking care of something that's going on, you go to your spiritual coach, like Carol and all of our practitioners and spiritual coaches, and they give you spiritual support and they tell you, here, do these things in consciousness, do these things with your spiritual practice, and it will make a difference. There is a recipe for prosperity and abundance, and it's banana bread. Banana nut bread. It's an out-of-this-world recipe. Okay, so the story about the banana nut bread is I went to a dear friend of mine who lives in Colorado many, many years ago. I went to a little cooking thing that she did about cooking without gluten and without wheat, because so far at that point I'm not necessarily gluten intolerant, but my body doesn't really like a lot of it. And pretty much everything that I had found in the open market tasted like cardboard to me. And so she said, oh, no, I do this cool stuff, and it's gluten-free, and it's sugar-free, and all this stuff. So she had a little thing in her house, and a lot of it still tasted like cardboard to me, but not the banana nut bread recipe. So it's almond flour and coconut flour. It uses maple syrup instead of sugar, although, yes, maple syrup still has a little bit of a glycemic index. It's not nearly as much. And, oh, my God, it's really good. So Karen discovered that I know how to make this banana nut bread, and she decided she really liked it. And so every once in a while she would say, Petra, do we have any ripe bananas? Are you going to make me banana nut bread? I was like, sure. No, those bananas aren't ripe enough. Every day she would ask me, are they ripe enough? Are they ripe enough? Are they ripe enough? Of course, they have to be kind of mushy. They have to be already turning black to make good banana nut bread, right? Ooh. And she was like, really? You're going to, yeah, no, seriously. I promise you, this is the recipe. This is how this works. And every time she was like, oh my God, this is so good. Okay, well, you know, she went to a sabbatical. She went up to our cabin this summer for sabbatical, and I was not there to make her banana bread, which was a problem. And so, so she said, what if I followed Petra's recipe? I wonder if my banana nut bread will be as good. Huh. like it could possibly be. Except that it was good. Actually, she said it was as good or better than the banana nut bread that I had made her. And I said, how lovely. Now it's your turn. You are now the banana nut bread maker in the house. Why? Because she followed the recipe. It's really simple. She just followed the recipe. Nothing magic about it. She just followed the recipe. And she discovered, what if I decided to make this banana nut bread just a little bit better? What if I tweaked it a little bit and made it for myself a little better? Yeah. So what did she do? She added chocolate chips. No, unsweetened dark chocolate. Ooh. Unsweetened dark chocolate to the banana nut bread. Not a whole lot. She tested, she worked with how much was the right amount. Oh, man. But still based on the same recipe, right? Not rigidly following a recipe thinking, oh my God, this is, how many of us, I know that my mother, when she made Christmas cookies and she made Streuselkuchen, it was like, oh yeah, this much, yeah, this much, but she was still following a recipe. She just didn't have to use the scoop. She actually knew what 2 cups of flour looked like and 1 cup of sugar. Ooh, yummy. And all that butter. Right? But she was still following a recipe, even though she was not, it didn't look like she was measuring everything perfectly. And for my pumpkin pie, when I make pumpkin pie, my pumpkin pie recipe says, don't be afraid to overdo it a little on the cinnamon, but never, never, never overdo it on the allspice or it will get bitter. So there's playroom, and then there's don't mess with this part, because that would be bad. And I was really grateful that somebody had written that right in the recipe. So what we're doing with our prosperity program and our pledge program is giving you a recipe. Literally giving you a recipe. As Carol so beautifully shared, it's a simple recipe to experience greater prosperity and abundance in our lives. And we've been talking about it all month. Understand that we live in an abundant universe. Really recognize that what we think about it and how we speak about it and how we behave about it makes a difference. Activate all of our spiritual tools in terms of our prosperity. All of these things are part of this recipe. And yes, of course, you do in fact get to tweak it in the way that really serves and supports you, that fits you, right? With or without chocolate chips, or I don't know what else maybe you could use pecans or walnuts, or you tweak it. But there's some basic recipe. And the truth is, when Karen took that recipe, one, she knew it worked because she had the banana nut recipe. She'd been eating that for quite a number of years. And 2, she decided that she would try it. Those are the 2 pieces, right? So we're going to ask the greeters to come forward, because now that we're talking about banana nut bread, we're actually going to give you the banana nut bread recipe, because it is really good. And for those of you online, the banana nut recipe is being put in as a link where you can download this banana nut recipe. I will make a shout out to Eileen Flanagan. I have no idea where she got the recipe. So if there's somebody I need to be saying, hey, thank you to, I'm saying that right now to whomever it is that she got the recipe from, or maybe she tweaked enough recipes to come up with this. It's actually really good. And especially if you are a little bit gluten intolerant, or you just don't like to eat wheat all the time, man, this is it's out of this world. And of course, you can decide how you are going to tweak it. And so this idea this is not magic, you guys. We don't do magical thinking here. in the science of mind. We don't do magical thinking at CSLDallas. We don't think because somehow we've been meditating, or because we have decided to be nice, that all of a sudden we're going to be rewarded with prosperity. No, we're rewarded with prosperity by following the recipe. And one of the pieces of the recipe is not only our understanding of the abundance of the universe, our thinking about how we are dealing with it, our choices that we're making in terms of good stewardship, but then the last piece of the recipe is the outflow, is the contribution that we make. It's the non-hoarding, but it's also that thing that we say, I have enough to give. I have enough to share. And that's where the principle of tithing comes in. We talk about the principle of tithing as a way of saying, I choose to give this much because I am claiming that I have this much to give and to share. It's a way of saying to the universe, well, my 90% better be big enough, because I'm giving 10% away. That's essentially what we're saying. And we're allowing ourselves to move into that greater expression of contribution. Because the other side of that coin is our prosperity can't be just for us. You really, please don't sit down and eat your entire banana nut loaf all in one sitting. Especially if you have chocolate chips in it. Not such a good idea, right? And it really goes down well when you share it with somebody else, right? There's nothing better than warm banana nut bread over a cup of tea with a friend. Isn't that true? Isn't that true for all of our meals? Yes, of course we eat by ourselves and we love it and we can learn to enjoy it and all that. But there's something about the sharing and the giving and the spreading around. And our prosperity cannot be just for us. Really, we have matured, we are growing beyond the fact and the idea that it's just our own prosperity that we're concerned about. It is actually recognizing that when we say we're prosperous, we live in an abundant universe that's for everybody. And part of how that gets evidenced is that we contribute. So let's talk a little bit about this. Let's say this. This is the quote that Karen had found. Money is a wonderful symbol of the divine oceanic substance. Give thanks that it is continually coming in and out of your life as a symbol of the limitlessness of universal supply. Right, so I loved what Carol talked about. I too have found myself in the past where I had to do the cut up the credit card thing. And yet what I learned is that when I cut up my credit cards, if I stopped giving, everything shrunk, because what I was saying to the universe is I don't have enough. And what did the law say? Oh, you don't have enough. Oh, I don't have enough to pay my bills, so I better not give this money away. You don't have enough to pay your bills. Do you see? The law simply reflects to us what we have in consciousness. And it is the discipline that we talk about in a pledge program that keeps us from making that mistake. Like that would be like not putting butter in your banana nut recipe, or not putting a little sweetener of your choice in your banana nut recipe. Right? We use that opportunity of giving, pledging, tithing as a way of saying, look, I have enough. I actually know that I live in an abundant universe and I have enough to give. And I understand, I promise you, I understand that it can be a little scary and a little frightening. So we work our way to it. So I had a conversation this morning with somebody new to our community, and I realized that we haven't done this yet. We really haven't talked about what a pledge is and what the difference between a pledge and a tithe is. So let's talk about it. And Joe, I love your story, but you have to upgrade it. It's no longer $1 church, church, church. It's now $20 center, 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 right? It's the $20 that you get out of the ATM machine. They call it a few years ago, they were calling it the yuppie food stamp. The $20 bill you get out of the ATM machine. So now it's 20, 20, 20, going around and around in the circle. So, I lost my place. What was I going to say? Because I wanted to say that to you. Thank you. Pledge versus tithe. Okay, so when you go anywhere to any of our giving portals, and we have all these giving portals because they've been asked for it, like when we had PayPal, people asked us, where's the Venmo? And when we had CSLDallas.org/give, people asked us, well, where's the QR code? Text giving. So all of that is because people have asked us, because there's so many convenient ways. When you use one of those convenient ways, you are giving us your money. It's great. And for those of you online, we need your money as much as we need it from those people who are in the room. And we ask you to give because we need your money. That is completely true, because that's how we continue to do what we do, and we continue to provide the services and the live stream and all the things that we do. So let's be clear, we do in fact need your money. Now a pledge is your promise to tell us how much money you're going to give us next year. That's what a pledge is. A pledge is a promise. I promise to give you X amount of dollars next year. Our benchmark, our watermark is $300 a month. So if you can raise yourself up as close to $300 a month as you possibly can, that will make a monumental difference in our budget. So our pledge is a promise, right? You pledge to KERA, you pledge to a political campaign, you say you're going to do it monthly, right? You set it up in some way, it's automatically withdrawn, or you write your check, or you send it however you send it, right? That's your promise. You can count on me for this money. Now, when you pledge to us, you can count on me. What we say back to you is you can count on us that we will provide the services, offerings, and programs that we can pay for with what you give us. Does it make sense? Right? Plus we get a little money from classes, and we get a little money from rentals, and so we do have a few other streams of income. We're certainly looking to grow our rental stream of income. We're looking to grow some of our streams of income with e-courses and being online in different ways. But primarily, 80% of what we have to play with in the budget is what people pledge and say, I promise you can count on me for this next year. And then we say, we promise to budget on that. So if we smash through our goal, it's great, and we can add things. If we don't, then we have to look at cutting, we have to think about staff, all those kinds of things. Because that's our promise to you. I think, as I told you last week, up until the SBA loan from the pandemic, we have not had $1 of debt in the 20-some-odd years that I've been the senior minister and the co-spiritual director here at CSL Dallas. And we plan to keep it that way. And so that is what a pledge means. Okay, a tithe is your challenge to yourself and the universe that you are actually as prosperous as you want to be. A tithe is your spiritual commitment to a prosperous life. We usually grow it to 10%, although Karen and I are actually over 10% now. And you give it to where you are spiritually fed, which is different than contributions to political parties or to not-for-profits that you support. We have a whole list of those that are in addition to our tithe that we give. So we actually give away 20%. We figured that out over the last 2 tax seasons. we give away 20% of our income. Why? Because we live in an abundant universe, and we know that we are always supported and supplied. And because as we do that, we are making a claim to the universe that says what we have left over is more than enough. And the law says what you have left over is more than enough, right? It says exactly what we believe. So your tithe is your spiritual commitment to your own prosperity and your challenge to yourself and to the law to prove that you are supported and that you live in a prosperous universe. Now, we hope that you are getting spiritually fed at CSLDallas and that you will pledge your tithe here. It is not required. You can split your tithe. You can pledge some of it here and someplace else where you are spiritually fed. Do you see the difference? We need your pledge. Your tithe is between you and your consciousness. Do you see the difference? Again, we hope that you're being spiritually fed enough that you will pledge your tithe here. And when you fill out a pledge card, there's a place where you can check and say, this is my tithe. Because it's a powerful statement. It's a powerful statement to consciousness, to your consciousness, that says, I am so supported and so supplied. I know the universe absolutely supports me, that I am making this commitment. So, as Joe so beautifully said, Joe and Deirdre talked about earlier, so beautifully said, we are coming to the end of our pledge campaign. So what we're going to do now is we're going to invite the AIS committee to come around, and they're going to pass out pledge cards. And as Kirby so beautifully sung, if you have already pledged, thank you. Thank you to those of you online. Thank you to those of you in the room. If you have already pledged, thank you, and thank you, and thank you. If you have not yet pledged, now's your time. So they're going to be passing out pledge cards. We'd love for you to take one. For those of you online, you're going to get a link in the chat to the electronic pledge card. And let me tell you, I really noticed coming up to this pledge program how odd it is for me to look at you online and say, please give money, please pledge. I feel like the TV and evangelical people that, you know, would say, oh, God will take me if we don't get $8 million. I don't want to be that person. So just pledge and we'll be done with it. And I won't have to do it anymore. And because we want to provide the services and offerings and programs that we're providing. Yeah. Yes. Right? And as you've heard week after week after week, and as you've heard, as you've been in your study group, if you've been in a Adventures in Spirit Home study group, or you've been using the monthly study guide, right? We've been giving you the recipe, and this commitment is part of the recipe. I promise you, every person that has given you a testimonial has given you a testimonial about how this recipe works. It's not a trick. It's not magical thinking. We couple the prosperity program with the pledge program to give you a place and a way in which you can prove this to yourself while contributing and supporting CSLDallas and all that we do together. So you can drop your pledge card today in the offering basket when it comes around. You can drop it off at the table that's out there in the breezeway. For those of you who are online, please just use the link. It'll take you to the pledge card. Really, no pledge is too small. No pledge is too big either. And every pledge counts, because it's an opportunity for CSLDallas also to feel as a community and as an organization that we're supported and that we're on the right track. Because the more you feel spiritually fed by what we're doing, the more we know that these are the kinds of things and the kinds of offerings and the kinds of practices and spiritual truths that make a difference. I know they make a difference. They've made a difference in my life. I know so many of you have told me stories of the difference that it's made in your life. And I know those of you online who've been part of our community, it's made a difference in your life. So let's pledge, let's promise to keep making a difference. Keep making a difference in each other's lives and keep making a difference in the life of those who are finding us. We're having a lot of people find us, you guys, a lot of new people since the summer, a lot of new people online, a whole resurgence of this community is happening right now. And you're a part of it, and you're a part of making it happen. And so we are continuing to soar out of this world to prosperity and beyond on the fuel, on the rocket fuel of life, of love, and of each other. So we're all in this together, and so it is.